My name is Elias Thorne, and until recently, carpets were my life. Not in a cozy, domestic way. My family has been in the carpet business for generations. We weren't just sellers. We were weavers, designers, the whole 9 yards. It was in my blood, woven into the very fabric of my being, you might say. Ironically, it was also the source of my undoing. It started subtly, a tremor in the market. Sales spiked, an unprecedented surge in demand. Not for any carpet, mind you, but specifically for bathroom carpets. The idea was ludicrous, a hygienic nightmare. Dampness, mold, bacteria, a breeding ground for all sorts of horrors. Yet people were buying them like they were going out of style. Initially, I was thrilled. Business was booming. I expanded my factory, invested in state-of-the-art machinery, hired more hands. The money poured in, but the nagging question remained: why? Why this sudden obsession with bathroom carpets? I delved into the digital world, searching for answers. I found countless videos, blog posts, social media trends, all glorifying the carpeted bathroom. No one, not a single soul, seemed concerned about the obvious health hazards. It was as if the world had collectively lost its mind. My wife, Sarah, was caught in the undertow. She came home one day, beaming, a carpet catalog clutched in her hand. "We're getting a bathroom carpet, Elias," she declared. I stared at her, dumbfounded. We argued, a bitter, escalating fight. I tried to reason with her, to explain the sheer insanity of the idea. She just shrugged. "Everyone's doing it, Elias. You're so behind the times." That night, I couldn't sleep. The image of a damp, moldy carpet in my bathroom haunted me. I felt a creeping unease, a sense of dread that I couldn't shake off. I knew I couldn't live with it. I packed a bag and left. Sarah didn't even try to stop me. I went to my mother's house, seeking refuge. She had always been a stickler for cleanliness, a paragon of hygiene. Surely she wouldn't fall prey to this madness. I was wrong. Her house, once a sanctuary of spotless order, was now defiled. A thick plush carpet covered the bathroom floor, damp and stained. The air hung heavy with a musty, sickeningly sweet smell. I confronted her, my voice trembling with disbelief. She just smiled, a vacant, unsettling smile. "Don't you like it, dear? It's the latest trend." I fled again, my heart pounding in my chest. The world had become a grotesque parody of itself, a carpeted nightmare. I felt like I was the only sane person left. The city was now carpeted, not just homes, but sidewalks, parks, everywhere. The once vibrant urban landscape was now a sea of fibers, a breeding ground for filth and decay. Rats infested the carpets, scurrying through the matted fibers, their numbers growing exponentially. Maggots wriggled and writhed in the damp depths, feasting on the decaying matter. The stench was unbearable, a putrid mix of mold, rot, and something indescribable. Something indescribable, something deeply unsettling. I barricaded myself in my apartment, refusing to go outside. I ordered groceries online, lived like a recluse. The world outside my window was a horror show, a grotesque tapestry of decay and madness. Then, the rain came. A torrential downpour that lasted for days. I watched from my window, hoping it would cleanse the city, wash away the filth. It did, sort of. The carpets looked cleaner, the colors brighter. But the relief was short-lived. When I finally ventured out, the true horror revealed itself. The rain had awakened something dormant in the carpets, something ancient, something malevolent. The carpets were moving, not in a waving, fluttering kind of way. They were crawling. Slowly, deliberately, like living organisms. The fibers pulsed and writhed, forming grotesque shapes, mimicking limbs, faces, expressions of agony and rage. The city had become a living carpet, a vast, undulating organism. The stench was now overpowering, a cloying, sickly sweet smell that made my stomach churn. It was the smell of death, of decay, of something ancient and evil. The rats were gone, replaced by something far more terrifying. Humanoid figures, formed from the carpet fibers, stalked the streets. They were grotesque parodies of people, their bodies twisted and contorted, their faces blank and featureless. They moved with a jerky, unsettling gait, their footsteps muffled by the carpet that formed their very being. They were the pile. I realized then with a chilling certainty that the carpets weren't just carpets. They were a conduit, a gateway to something else, something ancient and terrifying. The pile was awakening, and it was hungry. I knew I had to escape, to get out of the city before it was too late, but the pile was everywhere, watching, waiting. The city was a trap, a living, breathing trap. I tried to make my way to the outskirts, but the pile was closing in. The carpeted streets seemed to stretch and writhe, blocking my path. The humanoid figures emerged from the shadows, their blank faces filled with a silent, malevolent intent. I ran, my heart pounding in my chest, my breath ragged. The pile was gaining on me, its grotesque figures lurching forward, their carpet bodies undulating with a terrifying life of their own. I stumbled and fell, the rough fibers of the carpet scraping against my skin. The pile was upon me, its figures looming over me, their touch sending shivers of icy dread through my body. I closed my eyes, bracing for the inevitable, but the touch never came. Instead, I felt a strange, tingling sensation, a warmth spreading through my body. I opened my eyes and saw that the figures were retreating, their forms dissolving back into the carpet. The carpet beneath me was pulsating, vibrating with a strange energy. I felt a pull, a compulsion to merge with the carpet, to become one with the pile. I resisted, fighting against the overwhelming urge, but the pull was too strong. I felt myself sinking into the carpet, my body dissolving, my consciousness fading. The last thing I saw was the city, a vast, undulating carpet stretching as far as the eye could see, and then darkness. Several days later, a lone figure walks across the carpeted streets. It is Elias, but he is different. His eyes are blank, his movements jerky. He reaches down and touches the carpet, a faint smile playing on his lips. The figure continues to walk, disappearing into the vast carpeted expanse of the city. The sound of rustling fibers and a low guttural hum fills the air. That scar rings January 7 into memory a day, speaking in whispers at my back from a sea surf's crashing rhythmic sound that numbed it within an ice-coated reality it shouldn't even exist to see. No ordinary tale about a fear exists. No, instead, beneath a world hiding at its end and in plain view, Santorini, Greece, a paradise painted in whitewashed walls and sapphire seas. The kind of place that makes you believe nothing bad could ever happen. My friend Harry and I arrived on a crisp January morning, the air cool but welcoming, unaware that we'd stumbled into a nightmare disguised as a vacation. We checked into a quaint hotel overlooking the caldera. The view was breathtaking, but even then, something felt off. Maybe it was the faint, briny scent lingering in the air, or the way the sea seemed too still, too perfect. The next day, around 1 p.m., We headed towards the infamous Red Beach. The crimson cliffs stood there like ancient sentinels, their shadows sprawling over the dark waters. We spoke to the local lifeguards and a weathered sailor named Nikos, whose eyes seemed to hold secrets he'd never share. He hesitated when we mentioned sailing. "The sea remembers," he muttered, almost to himself. But we dismissed it, young, reckless, and heedless of the warnings written in the waves. It was perfect at first. The sun kissed the horizon, and the water sparkled like liquid glass. And then Harry pointed up, the sky bruised with dark clouds rolling in unnervingly fast. The wind shifted, carrying a chill that didn't belong. I ordered Nikos to turn back, but he was already struggling. The waves grew monstrous, and before we knew it, a wall of water crashed over us. The boat overturned. Harry and I were pitched into the icy depths. Panic flooded through me. I was a non-swimmer. I thrashed, gasping for air, when something cold and slimy wrapped around my ankle. It wasn't seaweed. It felt like fingers. I kicked wildly, but the grip tightened, pulling me down. Harry's scream pierced the roaring water. "There's something in the water." Just as my vision blurred, lights broke through the storm lifeguards. They pulled us from the water, but even as they dragged me up, I felt that thing hesitate to let go, like it wasn't finished with me. We made it to shore, coughing, shaking, alive. But the nightmare had only begun. That night, Harry and I couldn't sleep. Shadows moved where there should be none. Harry whispered, "I saw something down there, watching." Days passed, but the fear lingered. I'd wake up gasping, feeling that cold grip on my leg. Harry grew distant, haunted by what he'd seen. Harry became obsessed with the sea. He'd stand at the shore for hours, staring, muttering. One night, he disappeared. His footprints led to the water's edge and stopped. I searched, desperate, but found nothing, until I felt it again, that cold touch, pulling me back. But this time, I didn't fight. I woke up on the beach, alone. No sign of Harry, just a faint, wet trail leading to the water. I realized then it never wanted to drown us. It wanted to keep us. And sometimes, when the waves crash just right, I hear Harry's voice calling from beneath, begging me to join him. January 7 isn't just a memory. It's a reminder. The sea never forgets, and it never lets go.